Hello everybody! The end of the month, February 2017, is drawing near, which means I'm at the end of the restorations. I'm going to have to start listing stuff on eBay. So the last project for this month is going to be a Stanley number 40, which is called a scrub plane. Let's take a look at it. Here she is. The number 40 was made to remove lots of wood fast. So the idea is you get a rough cut piece of wood or something even worse. You grab your number 40 to initially get it down to something that you could handle with your bench planes. This one here might look familiar if you've seen my number 1 video. I purchased 4 planes in a lot that were all painted this beautiful color. And we learned with the number 1 that there are actually 5 different coats of paint on this thing. So they're going to have to come off. You can't tell a whole lot about it, covered up by all the paint. But what you can tell, if you know anything about the 40s, is the one place that they didn't put paint where it's supposed to be is on the sides. It's removed, and it's been, looks like it might have been at some point lapped a little bit. So this is what we've got. Let's break it down. So there's what she looks like all broken down. Just like the number 1, you really can't tell a lot other than all the parts are there. Even the iron was painted with some type of silver looking paint, but I believe I can tell that this plane is a Stanley Sweetheart. You can just about make some stuff out underneath the paint. So not a whole lot of sense taking a harder look at these parts. It's time to get the paint removed. Last week my wife heard me working on my video and overheard the part where I said I had stripper in the shop. We won't go down that road. Here's all the parts, and let's put the stripper on. Stripper's been applied. It's only going to take just a couple minutes for it to do its work. I mean, I just finished brushing it on, so you can see it works quite well. But from after looking at the number 1, we know that it isn't just going to take one coat to do it. Normally, when I'm removing finishes from wood, I don't use stripper. I showed you how to make a scraper in the sharpening irons video I did. Just put it on YouTube this morning, and that's what I use on the wood is scrapers. I like to remove the finishes that way. And whatever they put on the iron must have been some good paint, because it is not bubbling up with a stripper. So I'm going to let this sit, clean it off, and then we'll take a look at how it turned out. Here it is with the first coat of stripper removed and a second coat applied. The tote and knob, I've taken it down as much as I want to with stripper. I'm going to use a scraper on that to finish it up. And the iron, it did clean off, and it is a really nice strong Sweetheart stamp on the iron. So this coat here is going to have to be rinsed off, some dental pick work, and then it's going to go into the bead blaster. I've rinsed the stripper off the metal parts and I've scraped them. So I got as much of the old finishes off as I could. So the next step for them is going to go into the bead blaster. The bead blaster for me is really only to get them ready to paint. It isn't for the old finish removal. But it does get the last of it that's on there off. I scraped the tote and the knob, and you can see scraping does a really good job. I'm going to sand them, and then they'll be ready for finish. Here's a tip that I haven't given before. An easy way to finish sand your knobs is to put them in a drill press. A nice modern one like the one I've got here. 3/8 inch bolt I think fits perfect right down the center of that knob. I wrap the head end of the bolt with lots of electrical tape to wedge up into the hole in the bottoms of the knobs and hold them tight. There's the secret. You need to be really careful when you do this, because you don't want to round edges over and you don't want to leave scratch marks. The base is ready for paint, and the tote and knob, they turned out exceptionally well. These things are prone to staining, deep stains that there's no way they're going to come out. So this is probably one instance where paint was actually a good thing. These should do quite well with a finish on them. I lightly lapped the underside of the base. I wanted to have that done before I paint it. And the sides, they get painted, so they're just prepped just like everything else. Time to start putting finishes on. Here's a look at it taped off, holes plugged, and ready to paint. So the second coat of finish has been applied to the body and the lever cap. And the next thing to clean up is going to be the iron. So the tote knob are done and the iron is finished too. I've got it all sharpened up to a nice razor sharp edge. Here's a look at the edge on the iron. As you see, it's looking pretty good. There's a look at the backside. Next thing I want to do is clean up the small parts. Here's a look at the body and lever cap after the new finish has been applied. I gotta say, they turned out looking fantastic. The only thing left to do on these is to wax all the wood and metal, and we're going to put it back together. There in the background, just came in today. First time I've ever had a banjo back lever cap. That makes it an old Type 1. Too bad that I'm done for the month and got to do eBay pictures, because that would be next up off the pile. Didn't even make it on the pile. There it is. So here's a look at the old number 40 scrub plane, all laid out, ready to go back together. Let's get to it. And there she is, all put back together. What a nice looking number 40 scrub plane. The only thing that could have possibly have been better is if the color of the tote and the knob matched better than what it does. I mean, but they're about as fine as they get. Getting a look at her from all sides. Nice strong sweetheart mark. And a really good looking base. Only one thing left to do, and that's give this one a test drive. To test drive this one, I've got a great big old chunk of elm. It's about as rough cut as they get. It was done with a chainsaw. Let's see how it works. Looks like it works to me. So just a couple minutes of working on a small area. That's the results from what it looked like with the chainsaw cuts. But that's a high spot right there, so it would take a lot to flatten that entire board. But you can see just from the looks of the shavings mess that I've got here that it has no problem just eating up some nice hard wood. I'd say it passed. So another successful plane restoration. This one here, like the number one, had 6 coats of paint on it when we started. The paint protected a beautiful Stanley number 40 Sweetheart. It performed well. I'm happy with it. So it's on to the next project, which is going to be that, what I believe is a number 22 possibly, with a banjo back. But first, I've got all my eBay listings to do that have accumulated over this last month. So see you when we do the next video. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.